All right, Fantastic Four fans, get ready because today we're diving deep into the origins of Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. And with that, awesome, Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
First steps, trailer dropping, well, let's go back to the beginning and break down just how these iconic heroes got their powers.
Yeah.
Where does it leave them for the movie? So many questions.
What's always gotten me about the Fantastic Four is that origin story, that blend of science and the unknown. It's not a radioactive spider or magic. It was an expedition, a push to explore that landed them right in the path of cosmic
Right,
rays.
like a science project gone so right
Hmm.
or wrong,
Mhm.
depending how you look at it. Back in 1961, issue #1, BAM Powers. Talk about a legacy, right?
Right from the start. And that's what I think is so cool about it. That idea that one event, one burst of cosmic energy could change everything. Their lives, their destinies. It's like a metaphor. How chance encounters can shape us.
Okay, so picture this. Reed Richards, brilliant scientist, puts together his team. Sue Storm, brilliant scientist herself, and let's be real, she holds this crazy family together. Then there's her brother, Johnny, the hothead, who's always up for anything. And Ben Grimm, their pilot, always reliable. They pile into their spaceship, the Excelsior, and boom, off to space.
And cosmic rays are a real thing, right? It's not just a comic book invention. High energy particles all around us, constantly bombarding Earth from space. Scientists think they come from supernovae and stuff. Like, whoa, imagine that energy blast. No wonder the four of them changed so drastically.
Radical's an understatement. Let's break it down, power by power. First up, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic.
This guy, he can stretch his body to unbelievable lengths. Ultimate flexibility goals right there.
Yeah.
But it's not just stretching. It's like contorting any shape.
And that's what blows my mind. What are the limits, really? Is it skin, muscles, or can he go deeper? Organs, bones, down to his cells. That's the science I hope the MCU dives into. Right. Like, how does his blood even keep up when he's stretched across a city? Mind-boggling. And speaking of mind-boggling, there's Sue Storm, the invisible woman. Bending light around herself, poof, gone. Ultimate stealth, right?
It's more than invisibility, though. She can make force fields, too, shields of pure energy. They're not just static. She can shape them, move them, offense and defense. So cool.
I admit invisibility is just straight up cool.
Mm-hmm.
But those force fields, next level. Like she's warping reality.
Mm-hmm.
I can already picture those force fields against some MCU villain. Bam.
And what's really interesting about Sue's powers? It's all that potential for psychology. Invisibility can be about vulnerability, isolation. Is she okay with it disappearing? Or does she want to be seen, to be acknowledged? That's something the MCU could really explore.
Great point. And speaking of, let's not forget Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. This guy is fire, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Flying, blasting fire, whole body engulfed in flames. Who wouldn't want that power?
What gets me is it's not just fire from outside, it's from inside him. That's wild. How does he not, burn up human biology questions, for sure?
Right. And then there's Ben Grimm, the thing, poor guy, gets the rough end of the cosmic stick, transformed into this giant rock creature, super strong, super durable, but talk about a bad day.
But even in the bad, there's something amazing, which because Ben's form, it's not just a curse, it's like a healing factor, almost immortality. He can survive things no human could. He's literally made of the same stuff as, like, planets. That changes the game.
So there you have it. Stretching, invisibility, fire, super strength. But it's not just powers, right? It's who they are as people.
Exactly. Reed, always stretching, always adapting Sue, protecting, creating barriers.
And Johnny, well, he's all that raw energy and impulse.
Yeah.
And Ben, he's the heart, the rock. Even if he looks like a monster, his powers, it's all about loyalty, inner strength.
It's that mix of science and symbolism that keeps the Fantastic Four so interesting. They're not just heroes, they're like us, but with this incredible potential, good and bad.
Okay, so we've got the basics down. Now let's look at that Fantastic Four First Steps trailer. It's not a straight origin story, but we get glimpses of that big transformation, don't we?
Oh, totally. It opens with the Baxter Building, their HQ, but then they're in this spaceship. Sleek, futuristic, nothing like the old Excelsior. It's blending the old and the new, for sure.
And then there's that shot of them in some energy chamber, weird pulsing light. It's got to be the cosmic ray moment, right?
Right.
But it's different. More tech, almost like it was planned.
And that's the mystery. Was it a government thing? Did someone expose them? The trailer leaves us hanging, hinting at a deeper story.
And that's what makes this so fun. We get to guess, to connect the dots between the comics and the trailer. It's like a puzzle, and we're all trying to figure out what picture the MCU is making.
And the best part, we don't have long to wait. Fantastic Four, First Steps is almost here. But until then, let's keep digging, shall we?
Okay, so we've talked origins, powers, but now what about the movie itself? How's First Steps looking different from the other Fantastic Four movies?
Well, just visually, it's different, you know? That trailer has this more real, almost gritty feel. Costumes are practical, like tactical gear, not the bright, super comic book look of the other movies.
Yeah, it's like they're leaning into the sci-fi side, right? Like the tech,
Yeah.
the dangers of messing with forces we don't get.
Which brings us to the characters themselves. We see little bits of their personalities, and it seems like they're not afraid to make it complicated. There's Reed dealing with his big brain and what it means. Sue trying to be a scientist and a protector. Johnny always pushing back. And Ben, well, Ben's struggling with being the thing, you know?
It's like they're not just superheroes, they're people dealing with this crazy stuff. And that's what I want to see. How do these powers mess with their relationships, who they are, how they fit in the world?
Exactly. It's not just punching bad guys, it's the cost of those powers, the sacrifices, the burdens. That's something the other movies didn't quite get, I think.
Speaking of burdens, that trailer shows something dark, right?
Oh.
Like really bad news. That swirling energy, that cosmic whatchamacallit. It's like where their powers come from, but also maybe doom.
And that's where it gets good. This isn't just a villain with a plan, it's something bigger. Like a force of nature, ancient, powerful, maybe even like thinking. It's tapping into that cosmic horror stuff.
It kind of reminds me of Thanos. You know, not just a big bad guy, but an idea, a philosophy driving him. I hope they do something like that here, a villain who challenges not just their powers, but what they believe.
Yeah, a villain that makes them question everything. And that's where the good stuff is, the drama.
What about the action? We only see glimpses, but it looks insane. Sue's force fields are huge, like buildings. Johnny's flames are wild, or almost alive. And Ben, well, he's a walking earthquake, smashing everything.
And don't forget Reed. He's stretching across this giant gap like a bridge, and then his eyes, they stretch too, like he's seeing things we can't even imagine.
Okay, now I'm hyped. Darker tone, complex characters, cosmic horror, crazy action. But what about the surprises, right? The MCU's got to have those twists.
Well, there's that line at the end. Reed says, "We're not the only ones touched by this power." That's got to be a setup for something bigger, like there's more out there.
And cameos. Could we see other MCU folks pop up? Maybe Nick Fury or a post-credit scene with, like, Doctor Doom?
Right, the possibilities. That's what keeps us coming back. The MCU is great at those connected stories, those universes.
So hold on a sec. Let's hear from you, our listeners.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you from the trailer? What are you excited for? Hit us up in the comments. So while you're thinking about that, let's go full fan theory mode, because the internet is buzzing with ideas.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Some people are saying that swirling energy vortex, they think it's a portal to the negative zone, you know, from the comics. Parallel dimension, crazy creatures, the whole deal.
Oh, that would be so cool. I mean, we've seen other dimensions in the MCU already, so why not? And what about the villain then? We don't get a good look. But some are saying it could be Annihilus.
Right. Annihilus, super strong, blasts energy, total control freak, classic bad guy material. Plus, he's got that cosmic control rod, you know? That could tie into all the other cosmic stuff in the MCU.
Imagine the Fantastic Four fighting giant bugs from another dimension. That's like movie magic right there.
Oh, and there's another theory going around that I kind of love. They're saying First Steps isn't just about the team's origin, but about their first run-in with Dotwell.
Let's just say a certain metal-masked ruler from Latveria.
Dr. Doom. You can't have the Fantastic Four without him, and the MCU does villains so well. Imagine Doom, but as smart as Reed, as ambitious as Tony Stark, as ruthless as Thanos.
It's almost guaranteed he'll show up eventually, right? First Steps could be the intro, maybe a post-credit scene, set the stage for the future.
And think about the connections. Doom's got magic, tech, and horror. Could he be tied to Doctor Strange's world? Or maybe Wakanda, messing with their tech, clashing with Black Panther. It's all connected. That's what's so cool about the MCU. Every movie, every show, it builds on the rest. And Fantastic Four, First Steps, this is just the start of a whole new part of that story.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive, let's get real for a sec.
Yeah.
What sets the Fantastic Four apart? It's not just the powers, it's them as a family.
Oh, totally. It's right there from the beginning. Reed, the genius, but kind of clueless about people. Sue, the heart and soul, keeping everyone together. Johnny, all impulse and fire. And Ben, well, Ben's the tough guy with the soft spot. And you add superpowers. Boom. Heartwarming and hilarious chaos.
It's like you don't choose family or
Mm.
superpowers. Imagine being on a spaceship, your brother-in-law turns into a rock monster. Even the best families would have issues.
But that's why people connect with them. They fight, they disagree, they mess up, but they're there for each other. It's family first, superhero team second.
And that's something I think the MCU can really nail in First Steps. How do these powers change their relationships? Does it bring them closer or tear them apart?
The trailer shows a little of that, right? There's Ben looking at himself, all sad and angry. Then there's Johnny flying off, totally loving it. It's like they're dealing with this so differently. That's got to cause some friction.
And what about Reed and Sue? Married to a guy who can stretch like a rubber band? That's got to be interesting.
I mean, date night must be something else. But seriously, their relationship, it's the core of the Fantastic Four. They're partners in everything, science, emotions, the whole deal.
And that partnership is about to get tested big time. Cosmic threats, powers changing them, trying to live normal lives.
That's a lot, even for superheroes. But don't forget the humor. Even when things are bad, they make you laugh. Johnny's jokes, Ben's grumbling, Reed trying to be cool. It's all part of what makes them great.
Oh, I can totally see it. Johnny using his flames to make s'mores during a battle. Ben getting stuck in a doorway.
Right, it's that mix, the action, the humor, the heart. It's what makes the Fantastic Four special. They're a family figuring it all out with the craziest situation you can think of, and I think First Steps has a real chance to get that across, maybe even more.
All right, so big question. What about that giant thing in the trailer? That energy vortex, the end of the world vibes. What is that?
Yeah, the MCU's not messing around. They're going big for the Fantastic Four's first movie. It's not just a villain, it's a threat, something that could destroy everything.
We've seen them fight bad guys, creatures from other places, but this feels different, like a force of nature, something you can't really stop.
It's like that cosmic horror feeling, you know? It's stuff out there we don't understand that could wipe us out, just like that. Scary, but also kind of awesome.
That really raises the stakes. How do you even fight that? It's not some dude with a weapon. It's like a planet eater.
And that's where the Fantastic Four, as a team, it matters. They're not just individuals, they're a family. They need each other, their strengths, to cover the weaknesses if you're going to survive this.
And what about the source of that power? Is it the same stuff that gave them their powers, like cosmic rays? Is there some cosmic balance that's messed up now?
Ooh, good questions. The trailer kind of hints at it, right? They're transforming, and there's that energy, looks just like the vortex later on, like it's all connected, but with different outcomes.
So it's like this energy can do both, create and destroy, empower and corrupt, and they're stuck in the middle of it.
And that's the real story, isn't it? It's not just beating the bad guy, it's figuring out this power, what it means, how to handle it, making choices when everything's on the line.
Okay, I am so ready for this movie.
Me too. But before we go full hype, let's think bigger. What does this all mean for the MCU? The Fantastic Four coming in.
Oh man, that's a good one. We've had the Avengers, the Guardians, the multiverse. But the Fantastic Four, they're different. They're explorers, scientists, they change what's possible. They're all about the unknown.
Exactly. And the MCU, it's this huge world of stories, characters, possibilities. It's like the perfect place for them to have their adventures.
Imagine them with the Guardians, going to other galaxies. Or in Wakanda, working with Shuri, building crazy new tech.
Or even like going into the quantum realm with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So many possibilities.
My brain is exploding with crossover ideas. But let's focus on First Steps for a sec. We've got the family stuff, the cosmic horror, the MCU connections. But there's one thing bugging me.
What's that?
Who's the bad guy? We see glimpses, but no clear face. Is it someone from the comics? Someone new?
That's the big mystery. The MCU loves to keep us guessing. They're so good at it.
And you know what? I kind of love that. The mystery makes it even more exciting.
For sure. Keeps us talking, coming up with theories, wanting more. That's what makes being an MCU fan so fun.
All right, so last question for our listeners. Who do you think the villain is? Hit us up in the comments with your theories. We want to know. And there you have it, folks. Another deep dive complete. We broke down the Fantastic Four, their wild origin story, their awesome powers, and all the juicy hints from the Fantastic Four. First Steps trailer. We even explored some crazy fan theories. And let's be real, the MCU is all about those unexpected twists and turns. We're so hyped for this movie, and we know you are too. So keep those theories coming, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the ever-expanding world of Marvel.